All right, we are back at it here. Welcome back, Mike Durnin, doctor,
Well,
doctor.
doctor, yeah. Well, welcome. It is great to be back here. What a beautiful way to start the new year, having a
Yeah, man.
conversation with you.
Oh man, don't make me blush up in here. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, what for you is something new that is setting the course for the new year? Let's start there.
Well, I think is I took time, one of the beautiful things, and if we're allowed to, so to speak, by our schedules, is that little break there between like Christmas and New Year's.
Hmm.
And I've always kind of tried to hold that time kind of sacred for reflection and review
Mm,
within the midst of whatever family obligations are going on.
yeah.
And you know, I I spend I've been spending a lot of time. I share my handful of L's with folks in terms of how to lead their own lives. And of course, my first L is continue to learn.
Okay.
And and I said, I really want to take that up a notch for myself
Okay.
so that I can probably more thoroughly interject that within conversations, within keynotes, etc.
Mm,
And so I've really committed to what I've done is I start every day in prayer,
mm,
but then I go right into reading. Now I'm old fashioned. I love hard books, okay, a
mm,
regular old standard book as opposed to audiobooks or Kindle or whatever. And nothing against those other avenues. But for me, it's a lot easier with a book. So what
yeah.
I've done is I said, my first hour every day is going to be in prayer
Mm,
and reading before I open up my phone, before I open up my
yeah.
laptop. I'm going to do that. I need to better myself. And I start with prayer because, we all need others. All right. So why not go to the person who can give us the greatest bang for our buck? And that's our Lord above.
Yeah.
And so I start in prayer. And then I go right into, and I got a series of books, and I've got it kind of mapped out. I got January all mapped out. I got like, 5 different books. I've already got 2 of them done. I'm on my third one.
Now we
And
say books. We talk about chapters in the Bible or just books in general.
books in general, I do the prayer
Okay.
part first.
Okay.
So I'm going to go spend a good 20 to 30 minutes in prayer, and that's going to be a combination of just actual prayer and or reading, scripture readings and devotional readings, etc. Then I'm going to flip and
Okay.
go into, regular books. So I've read the book. Alan Stein Jr. has a great book called Next Play that just
Okay.
came out. I've read
Yeah.
that. Um, there's two young women that I've connected with on LinkedIn that wrote a book called Built to Lead. Excellent book. Excellent book. Now I'm actually reading a book that's pretty popular, actually, for people in service industries. It's called Unreasonable Hospitality.
Okay.
Unreasonable, not in the sense of doing stuff you shouldn't be doing. It's taking hospitality to a whole new level.
Oh, I like that. I'm gonna have to highlight that. Okay.
Yeah. Will Giarda, and I'm probably messing up his last name, wrote the book. And it was interesting when I shared that I was going to read that book in January. I had at least a half a dozen people within 24 hours say that they were either currently reading that book or have read the book and highly recommend it.
Oh, nice. Give me an overall synopsis. I mean, it sounds pretty simple and straightforward. I've heard of the Chick-fil-A Ritz Carlton thing that happened. Are you familiar with it?
Yep.
Chick-fil-A borrows the model of providing customer service experience from the Ritz Carlton model. You familiar with that? So
Oh, yeah.
that's what that reminds me of. So
And
I'm
it's
highly intrigued.
yeah, very, very similar. And it's about the guy who basically has been in the restaurant business his whole life. And it's 11 Park Madison, I think it is, or 11 Madison Park, whatever
Mm,
restaurant, and they've been rated like in the world
mm,
in terms of being one of the top restaurants. But the reason they got there wasn't necessarily because of the food. The food is
mm,
great,
yeah,
but they made a difference by how they treated people
yeah,
and how they presented everything. And the story is, I'm only about a third of the way through. The story is how he changed, you know, the atmosphere and what the mindset is. They wanted to be both corporate smart and restaurant smart.
mm,
And so, they knew the money was there, but they wanted to make sure that experience for people
yeah,
was such that not only did they compliment the food, but they said, I need to be back in this environment. I need to come back here
mm, yeah,
because of the people. And
yeah,
you think about that, Larry, is, for our own lives, I think about this could be a coffee shop. This could be, it could be a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It can be, you know, it actually could be, your auto mechanic or
right,
somebody like that. When you find that place that treats you more than a customer, that when it becomes
oh yeah,
something different than just transactional,
yeah,
we're probably going to go back there.
oh yeah,
And we're going to recommend that place to others.
right,
And what happens is, if you don't experience that, the worst thing that happened for that company is you go badmouth them somewhere and tell people not to go there. But the
right,
other thing you do is you simply just don't talk about it.
right. That's not an
Okay.
uncommon thing, right,
And
right,
and and so when you don't talk about it, that place is actually missing out on the best advertising there is. And that's
hmm
word of mouth
right,
recommendation to
right,
others.
right, right,
So that's what
100%.
the book is fabulous. I've read, like I said, I've read about a third of it and can't wait to dive in and finish the rest of it.
Yeah, I've got a small staff of people from my mental health practice. I've got some wonderful virtual assistants that work for me under my mental health practice. And one of the conversations that we're having right now is how do we provide better service? I mean,
Mhm.
really, it's an act of service. Like, how do we become better servants for those that are
Yep,
in front of us? So,
yep.
yeah, I'm all on that. I'm gonna have to get that book for sure.
Yeah, it's really good. If you have 2 seconds, I love to share this story. He talked about that they had one of the maitre d's, whatever. They understood they had this family come in, and it was
Mm,
in New York City, of course, and it's the middle of winter and there's snow. And this family was visiting. They're on a 5-day thing coming to town or whatever, but they had never experienced snow before. All right.
okay, okay.
They listened, they heard this. Now, we all hear lots of things in
Mhm.
our lives, but they heard this and they said, so the maitre d' goes out, he sends somebody to go get a couple sleds.
Oh,
Then
nice.
he goes and has a car ready for when they're done eating. The car is going to take them to Central Park so they could experience sledding
Yeah,
before they leave the country. Now,
intricate. Right.
now, you know, that is unreasonable hospitality. That is going above and beyond, because and you're basically listening and hearing things and say, how can we make this experience even better for them?
Yeah.
And they figure, you know, the few dollars that go into
Hmm.
getting a couple sleds and that car, and they don't do this every day, of course. That probably, that family
Right.
is going to talk about that experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that example, but because it tells two things: a, attention to detail, not just attention to detail, but attention to what's missing out of
Yep.
this, and then that investment, and then the idea that you got to make an investment at some point. On a business end, that for me, that's well worth that for me. If we're comparing that to the opportunity cost of marketing dollars,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And he puts a number out there. He talks about what he calls 95-5. So 95% of what you do in your business, you should pay very close attention to every single penny.
Wow.
How's it being utilized and so forth. But then
Yeah.
you should have 5% that is what he calls the frivolous. Like for the moment, this is going to make a difference, so forth. So the sled in the car, that's part of the 5%.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the good Lord speaking to me right there. That's like the theme this year for me. No, seriously. I was telling my staff the theme this year is attention to detail. That's for me. Refining what's in front of me and paying a lot of attention to what's in front of me. So all this is like a second witness here. Almost. This is so weird. I'm having a weird moment right now.
So there's my focus for this, the start of the year was basically continue to learn, continue to come up with these ideas, come up with thought process. And it's not, I'm not running quote unquote a business or anything like that. But I am still providing a message for others. So if I can strengthen my message to others and help transform their own lives, that's why I'm here.
We've talked in times past about the season you are in your life. How important is it to be disciplined? When you talk about doing these things, what does discipline look like? You define that for me.
Well, discipline to me is a conviction for a purpose, and that conviction leads into our habits that we do each and every day. One should be able to look at our calendars and see what is our focus, what is our discipline. If I talk about my health, the importance of health, okay? And everybody's at a different stage in their life of what that might look like, and we all are facing different obstacles and so forth. However, if I don't do anything, I don't have habits that relate to what I believe in terms of health, then I'm not disciplined. Now, when I'm disciplined, for me, health is there, and I've gone through stages where I've neglected. All right, but right now, no, I'm not. We get done with this call, I'm headed to the Y. I'm going to go swim a mile.
Nice.
Okay. Saturday, I had a number of things to do, but I said at some point I'm going to jump on my elliptical and work out. I want to be disciplined to do the things that actually represent my conviction, all right, for what I believe in. It's why I need to be able to pray every morning. It's why I start, I do the reading. I used to do reading all different times of the day, but then it was like, oh, I got some other things to do. I'm going to do that instead. Well, if I'm disciplined, I'm going to do those most important aspects right off the bat. And I'm going to make sure those are the first things on my calendar. So I think our calendars represent our discipline.
Okay. And are you meticulous with your calendar? I know I am. I'm 100% believer in this. Like whatever I put in my calendar, it firms it up. It reminds me of my calendar reminds me actually of who I am. My daily schedule, it reminds me of who I want to be.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And I love, and of course, now I have my electronic calendar. And of course, the beautiful thing is, nowadays, of course, my watch has the next thing is on my watch as well. And it's going to beep at me. And they're great reminders to do these things. And I think everybody's different in terms of, I know people still use a paper calendar. Okay. And that's
Yeah.
fine. If it works for you, if it gives you the discipline to keep doing the things that are important to you, who am I to say, what methodology is right or wrong with that? But I think we need to have that type of schedule. And even, I did that when I was working all the time. It was almost down to the minute what I was going to do. Now it's got a little bit more flexibility to it.
How important is that for it's something down to the minute? Do you think that's applicable to a lot? I mean, let's say you're talking to a young professional. You think that that's applicable or necessary?
If I was going to go back and do it again, the thing I would do, because my second L is continue to laugh, which is basically rest, renew, find time to refill your cup. The thing that I actually now stress to people is, if you have to schedule it, but schedule in essence free time.
Okay.
And schedule time that is not, so focused on your job. Schedule other things that provide an opportunity for you to relax and refill your cups. That I am a recovering workaholic. Okay. And I think if you get down too much, where it's this to this to this to this, and you push everything else aside, and which is what I did. I failed in that. Then I think you have some issues and you need to rework it. And I'm just saying, that's just from me and past experience. So now I do allow a lot more, and when I work with people, saying, okay, what are you doing to continue to laugh? Where's your free time? Where's, it's not that the other stuff's not important, but you need to be able to refill your cup better than I did when I was a young professional.
Do you mentor and coach individuals?
I do some. I do
Okay.
some. I have a couple people right now, and it wasn't. What's interesting, Larry, it wasn't something I really set out to do. It just organically happened.
Nice.
And
that's the best way.
and I love it. And as long as that doesn't overtake some of the other things I do, I'm good with it. And but I really enjoy it. If I can serve others by being somebody, they can come with questions, come with situations, and I can help them maybe from the experiences I've had. And just sometimes, as you well know, Larry, if you let people talk long enough, they probably come up with their own solution. That's pretty darn good too.
Oh yeah. I use that technique all the time in my profession.
So, but what I think is a great technique, and because when they have bought into and they come to the realization this is what needs to happen, it's great. And so I love being available for people, and that's just one of the things that is, or like I said, organically has happened over the last year or so.
You know what I want to co-write with you. I'm writing it already. I'm writing. I am. No, I've got a list. I got a list about 10 books that but some of them are going to come off in like carousels, just concepts. I can't. You know that thing that God puts in your system, but you can't quite focus on it because you got too many things. But everything God plants, if it plants a seed, I'll put it in a folder. And I'll be like, maybe I'll get to this. And one of the things I work with my team is, okay, if I can't write the book, maybe I can put it in a carousel. So we're working on creating these like carousel or even mini blogs. Anyways, I'm writing this sort of short ebook style thing called Discipline of Faith. Eventually, one day, but I sort of got it written out because it's I'm gonna send it to you at some point. I get your thoughts on it. It's just I got premise points, like probably about 5 major premises, but it's in remnant sort of what we're talking about. It's one of the things as a as a therapist who happens to have a spiritual background. One of the things that I talk about with my clients is well, what is your routine that helps get you out of this funk, or what is this routine? What is your routine that helps you manage or coexist with anxiety or depression or grief, or there are other things out there with
Yep.
trauma, but there is or addiction. I mean,
Yep.
having a disciplined routine is inevitably what helps you transition into healthier habits,
Yep.
and even healthier coping tools. Um, and that's been a major difficulty for my clients to grasp. Kind of, I think it's difficult for everybody to grasp, because if you don't have a habit formed yet, then it becomes impossible. And if you got a major barrier like an emotional weight of anxiety or depression or whatever it is, it becomes a very long process. What are your thoughts on that? I probably have a question from that, but I don't really have it formulated. But
Well,
you
the
know, you know,
first, yeah, Larry, I think the first thing that comes to mind is, and we've talked about habits and our schedules and so forth. Great book called The Power of Habit.
mm,
All right, and Charles Duhigg, I think, is the author. And in the book, he talks about within Power Habits, he talks about that, so many of us have some bad habits that rise up. And he
mhm,
goes, within the book, he shares, you never get rid of the bad habits in essence.
mhm,
But what you do is the good habits that you keep developing over time and strengthening those good habits, in essence, squelch the bad habits.
yes,
They
right,
overtake the bad habits.
right,
And so you start living that type of life as opposed to the bad habits. And that's and you probably have seen this as much as anybody, that person
mhm,
who's struggling with alcoholism.
mhm,
Okay. They're still, if all of a sudden they start taking a drink, that bad habit can boom supersede whatever good habits they've been doing. And then
mhm,
they kind of fall off. All
right,
right, the good habit, and now you got to get them back to the good habits again. Uh, for me, I have to be very careful. I am a workaholic, and
mhm,
so I have to be very careful and very conscious into the habit of scheduling relaxing time, doing
mhm,
things, pausing in my life. Otherwise, it would be very, very easy for me to get back into that 24/7, 365 days out of the year. I've got to make that one last email. I've got to check this this message that's coming in there. And I've got to just say, no, I've got to keep working
yeah,
the good habits as opposed to the bad habits.
yeah. No, I find it absolutely hilarious a little bit. I don't know what's the sick person in me that that you have to force yourself to. Yeah, what your bad habit is that you're not relaxed, and so you have to force you have to force relaxation into your schedule.
Yeah.
you know, I don't know why it just tickles me just a little bit. There's like
That's okay.
most, I think it tickles because most people have the opposite. you know, they usually have to force themselves to be disciplined because they have to force themselves to be productive. You are forcing yourself not to be productive. so, uh, a little ticklish there. Mike, Mike. The next time we talk, I'm booking out 2 hours. So just let you know, I'm book. I look. I think I got another crap. Look, I booked you right after somebody. I'm booking you out 2 hours. Span out 2 hours because I feel like this is good energy. This is good
Well,
energy.
Larry,
Yeah.
you are the reason. It is the energy you bring
Oh,
each and every
nice.
time we talk, and the questions and the thought process. It, it's inspirational to me.
That's
It's
good.
impactful. It's insightful, and
Praise the
and,
Lord.
and I love the fact uh, you help me think
Mm,
through these things as well.
yeah.
And
Amen.
uh,
Thank
you
you,
know
Lord.
that you know it's it's a pure joy, you
Yeah.
know, to share, this time with you, and I love it. So
Yeah.
you can book it as long as you want.
Yeah, man. I was thinking. I said, because I booked you for only 30 minutes today. I was like, oh, this. I said, oh, we gonna get caught up because I can see this going. I can see this going. So, let me cut you up. Let me cut you off early because I just booked somebody right after you. But let's schedule another time to talk. I like this. I love I love just as much as I appreciate your feedback. I love your insightfulness. I love there's an energy that comes from you that definitely is it feels like godly wisdom, godly insight, and that I very thank God for in these interviews, particularly with you. I mean, I think there's something, there is something God inspired that as far as your energy, and that is even relaxing and comforting. I just appreciate it. I don't know whether I can articulate it any more than that, but definitely worth 2 hours of my time. So,
Well,
um, yeah,
and I would say the same. And one of the things, is actually in this book on reasonable hospitality,
mm,
and it's not written as a faith book, but I can see faith written
yeah,
all over the book.
yeah,
And one of the aspects the author brings forward is, so often if we open our eyes and open our ears, open our hearts, and open our souls, we can find beauty and strength from anyone.
yeah, yeah,
And find when you find that beauty, and then put that person and put those strengths out there where they belong. And
yeah,
his thought process was he had an employee that, most people may have fired at one time.
mm,
But when he dove in and found out some of the strengths this person actually had,
yeah,
all he did was switch their role.
yeah,
He put
yeah,
them in a different position. And that person has shined for a long time within their organization, because and all he had to do was first be open to listening and finding out more about the person,
yeah,
put them in the right role. I do believe all of us, Larry, are here on this earth for a cause, for a reason. And
yeah,
and God's master plan, he's put that there,
yeah.
you
I
know,
believe so too.
those people. And whatever role I can fulfill, the most important aspect is, may I fill that with God in mind.
That's right. Amen. Amen. Well, let me cut you short there. I need a part nine. Where are we at in where are we at in our interview?
Who knows? But let's keep going.
We keep going. We keep ride till she, as I said, what's somebody says, ride until she bucks you. There you go. So, I'm gonna let you loose with that, Mike. Thank you for just sitting down and having a chat with me.
Hey,
I look forward to these here. We'll just take this ride journey with one another in this space here, and yeah, I'll talk to you soon. We're gonna talk soon. Actually, I might call you directly. I'm gonna
there you
call you
go.
directly before the end of the day. Yeah. All right.
All right.
Okay,
Sounds
Mike.
absolutely wonderful. Thanks, Larry. You
Yeah.
have a great rest of your day, and best to everybody who's
Yes. Thank
listening.
you. Yes. Amen to that. Yeah. All right. Bye now.
All right. Bye bye.